Just going to have a little bit of a look into the technical analysis of Pakistan, what they did wrong in the first innings and what they can't afford to do second times around. So what we're going to first start with is Shaun Pollock. He played brilliantly yesterday. But in the first innings when he got out, have a look at this footage of when he was facing Kakisa Rabada. And you can just see how, maybe because of what happened in Pretoria, he's just a little bit outside in front of himself. And from a weight distribution perspective, all his weight is on his heels. You'll see that his toe does get down at point of impact, but not really. Most of the weight is on the back of the heel and not on the forefront of the field. Then yesterday, we saw him play a brilliant cover drive. And this is obviously the dismissal again. And you can compare. I want you to just watch his feet, that front foot in particular. You can see that toes off the ground, weight is on the back heel, and then when you go into the cover drive, you can see how his weight distribution this time is perfect. It's right on the ball of the foot, and you can see how his heel is slightly lifted. Syed Shakil was a very similar dismissal, and if we have a look at his footage, he's even worse, and it's a dead giveaway with regards to the front foot and the toe. At point of impact, have a look exactly where that toe is. It's nowhere near the ground. That means his weight is seriously back, and that gets you into a lot of trouble, particularly against the new ball. So the reason what I'm talking about is if you're in this position, you can get over the top of it and you can hit down the ball. If you're in this position, what often happens is from side on, if you have a look, you'll see how the bat angle is almost like that. So it almost like ramps off to the slip cordon, right? And what you ideally want is it to be more in this position, because if it does take an edge, it goes down. Now, there were a couple of examples that we saw in the South African innings. It was Ryan Rickleton and it was Aiden Markram. Those were the two that when they got the edges, they went straight down. So we'll have a look at that footage. As you can see here, these are the examples. They get in position, the edges is found, but look at the bat angle. It's still pointing down, which means the ball doesn't carry. Some people say, oh, that's just unlucky. No, it's got to do with your technique, because you don't want to create a ramp. What you want to make sure is you get, this was actually the last one of Ryan Rickleton. That one did go up and nearly carried. And it's another example. Bat angle, if it's like that, you're going to get in trouble. Bat angle, if you can get it nicely forward, it means it's going to go down. So that's an important thing that Pakistan want to do. Get your weight forward so that you can hit down on the ball. Okay, next we're going to go look at Ghulam. When you first come to the crease, the key is to try and, I'm going to work to this camera, try and play as straight as you possibly can initially, or if you want to score off the wicket square. Ghulam didn't do that. He brought his bat down in a 45-degree angle. And if you have a look at point of impact, look at that. What chance has he got of middling that? Because he's coming in at a 45-degree angle. You're bound to get an inside edge or an outside edge, and you're going to get into trouble. So as I say, the best thing you can do is come through nice and straight initially, and if you want to score, you score square of the wicket. None of this 45-degree bat angle. Okay, Babar Azam. Now, I would recommend he's one of the techniques you want to copy. But there's just a little point I want to make. If we have a look how he gets out down the leg side, a lot of people say, oh, it's a burgle. You don't really want to be getting out. That's so unlucky for a batter. As far as Rizwan went, well, that wasn't a technical issue. I think that's just a mental issue, and Pakistan cannot afford any of these today as they try and obviously get rid of that deficit. Once you get to 46, you're in. You can't afford to be throwing it away like Rizwan done. So mentally is maybe part of your technique, but they can't afford to that. Lastly, Salman Ali Agha. When you're playing against spin, the golden rule is to keep this right foot as anchored as you possibly can, and obviously not to get too out in front of yourself, because if you get too out in front, you lose your balance. So what he needed to do was try and keep that right foot as established as he possibly can. He get forward into that position and stay side on, because there he's in a good strong position. He doesn't get too far in front and he won't lose his balance. Have a look at the replay and you can see the position he got into. It was nicely bowled by Keshav Maharaj. He gave this one a bit of air and it turned, but to be losing your balance and that far out in front of yourself, you've got the keeper up to the stump and you don't want to make sure you give him any chance to stump you. So that's the few technical issues that I think Pakistan need to make sure they learn from. They made them in the first innings, can't afford to make them with that amount of deficit and wanting to try and restore their position in this game.